So we have with us Jack Jenkins, who is our graduate intern for the Medical Center Library, and he will be presenting our workshop on PubMed Essentials.
Hello, everyone. I'm here to give a presentation. I'm really excited to talk a little bit about PubMed and how useful it is for research. So first off, I just want to introduce everybody to our website. It is free for staff, faculty, and students. It has very important resources such as databases, research workshops, research guides, teaching and instruction, and a lot more. So I left the link in the slide if anybody wants to go to it. So PubMed Medline is the largest biomedical database in the world. So it has two parts. PubMed itself is the interface, while Medline is the database. So searching it is free and open to the public. However, you should log in from UK's website to access full text articles, unless you have the extension libkeynomad, which I left right here, a link to setting up accounts, which will be very helpful when doing research. PubMed Central also hosts grant-funded papers and is freely available to use. So there are two ways to conduct a search. So the first way is basic, and it is not appropriate for research. Automatic term mapping is used, and the best way to describe that is to think of it as Google. So whenever you Google something, it'll try to connect certain terms and words to what you type into the search box. So PubMed has a very similar search box to Google, and it's on the front page, so that's what you'll be using for this. It's very good for quick looks, and it uses stuff such as algorithms and artificial intelligence to learn from your search and create better searches. However, because it uses algorithms and artificial intelligence, you can't reproduce your search like you can in an advanced search. So advanced search is used for research and scholarship, and the reason why is because it's reproducible, and in case you want to share your search with somebody, it'll be the exact same for that person because there is no algorithm or AI used. So Boolean logic is used. That includes stuff such as and, or, and not. Advanced search builder is used. So even though there is a search bar, you'll use it, there's a little advanced option, which I'll show you later in our demonstration portion. It is reproducible and is a combination of natural language and controlled vocabulary terminology. So before you search, there are three things you want to do. The first is identify keywords. Second is to identify mesh terms. And the third is to combine those terms to conduct a search. So the first step is to find the keywords. So I came up with just a small, general, easy to look up question to use. So ours is, does exercise help reduce feelings of emotional stress? So in this question, we can find two keywords, exercise and emotional stress. Second step is to identify mesh terms. So mesh terms is a controlled vocabulary. It can be a bit difficult to describe or understand, but I'm going to do my best to help kind of show what a controlled vocabulary is and why it's so important when conducting proper research. So as everybody knows, the English language and just language in general can be very complicated. And for instance, when looking up just the definition of the word cool, there are over 15 definitions or ways to use it alone by the Merriam-Webster dictionary. It can be used when describing temperature, such as it's very cool outside. It can be used when describing colors, such as the color blue is a cool color, while the color red is a warm color. And it can be described to display emotions or how you're feeling, such as I'm feeling cool, as in calm and collective. So you can see why it's important to have certain terminology, certain controlled vocabulary terms to describe different instances of medicine, healthcare, all sorts of stuff. So as I said, it standardizes phrasing and language for each concept. So every single word is given a controlled term. It is relevant. The way it is identified when doing a search is that each and every article has relevant terms tagged onto those articles, which I'll show. You can find these terms in the mesh database on the front page of PubMed. So this is the front page of PubMed. Right here, you can see how it says mesh databases. So if you click on that, it'll take you to this screen. And right here, you'll type in whatever term you want to find the mesh term for. So for instance, I typed in exercise, and this is the page it brought up. So this section right here is what's called the scope note. It gives a brief definition of the mesh term, which allows for you to determine whether this is the correct mesh term you want to use. So exercise, you can see it says a physical activity, which is usually regularly done with the intention of improving and maintaining, yada, yada, yada. So you get the point. Entry terms right here, it's a list of terms that are kind of like synonyms to the mesh term. They can either be, very defined terminology or more everyday vocabulary. So it's good for your expanding your search. So for instance, exercise can include physical exercise, aerobic exercise, all sorts of stuff. But whenever we do our mesh terms, it can be tricky because certain mesh terms don't exactly match to what you think you'd be looking up. So again, it uses not natural language, but defined terminology. So emotional stress underneath mesh is stress, psychological. So psychological stress. While exercise is just a clear-cut exercise. So next we want to combine our terms. So the first Boolean logic term that we want to use is or. And you got to remember that or equals more. So it expands your search. So in this case, we'll have exercise, which is mesh, and then exercise in the tab. So these right here with the brackets are called field codes. Now, under field codes, they help define a specific, like how you want that word to be used. I'll show it more to get better sense of it. So underneath this is for the mesh term. So exercise as a mesh term and exercise as a title abstract. And so what a title abstract is so whenever you look up an article, for instance, right here, you'll have your title here, which is in the purple, and then your abstract here, which is defined by the green. So the title is the TI and the abstract is the AB. So that's your TAB. So whenever you look up exercise, it'll be looking for it in this section, in this section. Whenever you look for your mesh term, it will look for it in this section as in tagged mesh terms. So these are all the different mesh terms that are tagged on the article itself. So now we want to combine our terms. So if you remember the question, it is, does exercise affect feelings of emotional stress? So the first part of our question deals with exercise as seen here, and then it is connected with emotional stress in this part with the word and. So think of it as whenever you're doing like a math equation. So you know how you'll have like parentheses 2 plus 2 into parentheses plus parentheses 3 plus 3 parentheses. Think of the and as the plus between the two parentheses. So in order to give a more visualized demonstration as to what and, or, and not do, I'm going to show it through a Venn diagram. And just for the sake of this presentation, we are not going to focus on not because it is rarely used in actual searching. So for this case, we'll just focus more on and or. So for instance, we have emotional stress in this bubble and exercise in this bubble. What the and does is that it makes it where this darker shade of purple, it looks for articles that have both emotional stress and exercise, while or will look for articles that might have emotional stress, or it might just have emotional pressure. And now it's time to give a quick PubMed demonstration. Let me pull that up real quick. All right, does everybody see the website?
Yes.
Okay, so here we are on the main page of the Medical Center Library website. So what you're going to want to do is go to Health Sciences Databases, scroll down until you see PubMed right here. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the advanced search. Again, this is very good for research because it does not have automatic term mapping. You can reproduce it. So this is what the advanced search builder will look like. I'm going to go back and show the mesh database. So for a question, let's look up exercise. So I'm just going to type that in. And so let's go to this one. And so again, here's the scope note right here. Here are the entry terms. And so if I want to add this to my search, there's a nice little builder called the PubMed Search Builder. So I'm just going to copy and paste that. Go back to advanced, and I'm going to paste it. So right here, the drop-down menu, it automatically recognizes that this is a mesh term. I'm going to add to it. And so now I might want to look up something as a title abstract. So in this case, I will scroll down to where it says title abstract. And it is very important to have certain characters in certain orders because PubMed is, again, it is not a natural search box like you would think of as Google when you're doing an advanced search. So I will type in exercise. So as you can see, it automatically adds it with the word and, but in this case, we want it to be or. So I'm going to go back, type in exercise with quotations around it. And I'm going to do add with or, because or equals more. And then I'll add in something such as, let's see, how about, actually, let's just look up this one first. So I'm going to go to add to history. And this will show me how many results I have. So it is quite a lot because exercise is a very encompassing topic. So let's just click on the first one. And so here's the title where it would get out exercise from it, as you can see right here for the title abstract. And the abstract will also have instances of the word exercise used. And if you scroll even further down, you'll find all the mesh terms used. So if you look at this, so for instance, let's say I'm doing one about how does exercise affect emotional stress in the elderly. So I could add on aged 80 and over. Or let's say I want to use exercise in terms of, let's see. Actually, no, I think that's good. Okay, let's go back and now let's do a combination. So as mentioned earlier, so let's try and add, let me add this back, add to query. Actually, my bad. So let's mention psychological stress in this. So let's go back to database. Let's just look up emotional stress. Let's type on that. Search, and as you can see, it automatically goes to psychological stress. So I'm going to copy and paste that. Go back to advanced, and thankfully it kept my first search here saved. So let me just paste psychological stress and add. Now, for more natural terminology, I'll just use emotional stress, add with or for this, and then I'm going to search this one. So again, it has a lot of topics, over 100,000. It's a lot, but now let's combine the two. So let me add this to query. And so if I want to and these two, I will simply click on my second search and go add with and. And as you can see, like I mentioned, how this is all in one parentheses, kind of like a math equation. This can be like your plus between the two. And then this is your second aspect of it. So let's add that to search and see if that, so still quite a lot, but it has a lot of articles that pertain to both aspects of psychological stress and exercise. So PubMed allows you to filter down to certain years. So let's say I want to do more recent ones, like within the past 10 years, I can do this. And I would just want to say one thing is that whenever you're looking for stuff, do not worry about these filters, because if you do, it will take out, it really just funnels down what you have available to what PubMed has, and it limits what you can look at through UK. So for instance, I'm going to look at this. And as you can see here, it says view now on UK. So this will allow you to get the full text. So PubMed also allows you to log in, which allows for more features. So I'm going to quickly log in through my account. Come back to our search. Look up this. And so what I can do is I can save some of these. So I can select, just a few, like maybe the first 4 or so, and I can save it for later on. I can also send it to people, and I can also set alerts to where it will alert me if anything new is published on things relating to stress, emotional stress, and exercise. So if I just click right here. So it's very nice, especially when you have a login. I highly recommend logging in when you use PubMed. So yeah, that is a very brief overview of PubMed. I hope this was helpful. If there are any questions, I'd love to answer them.
Thank you, Jack. If you all have any questions, feel free to either drop them in the chat or you can unmute yourself and ask them. Definitely a great tip would be to log in with an account, creating an account. That way you can save your research, you can send it to EndNote, you can email it to yourself, create those alerts for a topic that you're doing research on. All of those are excellent tips. Oh, perfect.
It's me. I'm just gonna admit I'm really bad about using mesh headings. I'm very good at Boolean logic, but I'm very bad about mesh headings.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just a bad habit, so I guess I wonder what I'm sacrificing, like overall, am I just not finding things I should be finding, or am I finding too much? Like, what's the downside of what I'm doing all these years?
Yeah, that's a great question. So if you're not using mesh terms, you could be missing something.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing is I think you'll be missing out if you're just using title abstract. So for example, in the exercise, Jack, would you mind to go back to your exercise mesh term slide?
I don't
Oh
think
yeah,
I'm
of
using
course.
title abstract. I'm just saying I'm really good at popping in terms and using ands and ors, but I don't always check and see if they're a mesh heading, so.
Yeah, yeah. So actually, because PubMed, and over the years, PubMed has changed the way that they do searching. So recently, probably like since 2019, they've done this automatic term mapping. So if you're just using like keywords with no title abstract or no mesh, what it's doing is it's automatically mapping to mesh terms that PubMed thinks that you might want to use, and title abstract and keywords that Mesh thinks that, or that PubMed thinks that you want. Um, and I'll show you an example. Jack, can you just go to PubMed Live and do a simple search with no field codes? Just do
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You can do that same one, exercise and go ahead and do exercise and emotional stress. And I can kind of show you what is happening in that search. So then go back to the advanced search page and then click where it says details on the line. So what's happening is when you do a search like this, Susan, what it's doing is it's translating, it's telling the database to search for exercise as a mesh term, but then it's also searching for exercise therapy, it's searching for therapy, an exercise therapy as a phrase, it's searching the psychological stress term, it's searching psychological all fields. So what we would say is that you're probably getting some irrelevant results when you do that. Yeah, so more precision searching would be that you've used those field codes and you use those mesh terms to find exactly what you're looking for.
Okay, thank you. And
Does
to
that
your
help?
yeah, no, to your credit, I've been told that for years. It's just a bad habit on my part.
Yeah, no. And I think I mean, if you're doing the research and you're finding things, that's excellent. If you want, the medical center librarians do offer a lit search service. So if you think that, there may be more, or, you think that you're not finding exactly what you're looking for, you can always request a literature search and have us do the search and see, like, maybe you can compare, like, what did you all get versus what I got?
Oh, okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And that form, that literature search service form, Kayla just put that in the chat box. That was a great question. If anybody else has any other questions, we would be happy to answer them. Yeah, so the question that came in the chat is, how do I save those searches? and would EndNote be useful for that? So Jack, do you want to demonstrate how you would save searches?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I'll go to this search. So just for instance, I'll say first three. And so you'll click on this, save. So it says selection 3, great file. So this is a just full text of the citations for these articles. And let me see how to.
So Jack,
Yeah.
no, it's fine. Since you're logged in, one of the best ways, in my opinion, to save your search, and Jack, you know how to do this. I'll walk you through it in a second. Make sure you're logged in. So I would always recommend, like Jack said, to create an account and log in every single time. That's going to save the searches in that advanced box for a few hours. If you like click away and come back in like an hour, those searches will still be there. However, like you've asked, if you leave for a day or so, but you want to come back to these results, the best way is to create what is called a collection. So you can do kind of like Jack just did, a selection, or you can do all results up to like 10,000, I believe. I don't know anyone who wants to save 10,000 results to a collection, but to each their own. And to do that, you'll click the send to option, which is next to the email option. Yes, perfect. You'll click the third option below, the collections. And then if you click the selection option here, you can see that Jack has selected 3. And Jack, would you mind clicking on that drop-down box? You can also do all the results on the page or just all results in general. That's not going to work since we have about 65K here, but we'll do all results on this page. And then if you already have a collection, everyone defaults to the favorites option. I actually recommend, for good data management practices, to name collections based on the topic of interest or the project of interest. So Jack, click create new collection for me, and then name that something along the lines of exercise and stress. I also like to put the date, so 1/22/25. Wonderful, and then hit add. Oh, apparently you can't have dashes there, so just do the dash, not the slash. 1/22, wonderful, 25. Hit add. And then it will add to your collection. So the way to get there is actually to click on the upper right-hand corner where your email and Jack's name currently is. You'll go to dashboard. And then you can see here that there's a bunch of options. You can save searches as well. That way, like, it will run the search for you. We can show you how to do that too. However, if you have a really good set of articles that you just want to refer back to, you can see here that there are 2 options under the collections feature, the favorites, and then the exercise and stress. So if you click the exercise and stress name there, it will just take you right to it. The other option, and if you go back to the advanced search for me, Jack, if you click on your 65K option here, or one of, actually, it doesn't matter. You can, yeah, that's fine. If you have a really good search that you want to repeat, you can just save that search. So under the search bar, you have this option called create alert. So click that. This is fairly self-explanatory. You're going to name the search. The default name is the actual search. I would just delete all of that and call it exercise and stress. You don't have to fill that out completely, Jack. You can just leave it at that. And then if you scroll down, so the option here, would you like email updates? Yes. The email you input is the email of your account. I don't believe you can send these alerts if you don't have an account. So yet another reason to create one. But then you can choose the frequency. So if you know that there's not a lot of research on this topic, there's not going to be a lot of stuff that comes out weekly, you want to do monthly. However, if this is a highly researched topic and you're just trying to stay abreast or afloat above water with these, you can do them daily, but you're going to get daily emails with links to articles. So that can be a lot. You can choose the day you want them delivered. So some people like the first Sunday. I personally don't want to send myself work emails on a Sunday, but to each their own. The report format. So if you click the drop down on the report format, the summary is going to be like a very low key, small option. The abstract will actually send you the entire abstract in the email. I think text is like HTML, so it's gonna look a little bit nicer if you select the text option. It literally doesn't matter. You can just select which one you want. You can then, if you click out of that, you can send at most. So if you want everything that comes out, you can choose that. There's quite a bit of options here. However, if you select 100 items and only 5 articles have come out, you're not going to get a random 95 articles. You will just get those 5. And then finally, you can send even when there aren't any new results. You don't have to do that. I think that personally, we get enough emails as people in academia, so I don't think getting a blank email would be useful to you, but you can do that just to remind yourself you have these reports coming. But after that, you would just click save. Jack, do not do that. You don't want to get 65K articles in your email right now. But those are 2 different ways you can save those results.
Yeah, and so just thank you, Kayla and Jack, for doing that and explaining that. I also just want to note that to the rest of your question about EndNote. So if you select this send to, and you can do that if you select Citation Manager. So that is how you can send results, your citations to EndNote. And so when you say how useful would that be, it would just depend on if you use EndNote for your work. If you use EndNote and that's a citation manager that you use, it's the one that we recommend because UK has a subscription to it. And that's where you want to collect your citations and you'll be writing your papers from there. We would highly recommend using, EndNote for your citations. And we do have an EndNote guide. I'll drop the link to that in the chat, and that will kind of get you, show you how to get set up with EndNote. Then it also will show you instructions on how to export from some of our major databases like PubMed, any EBSCO database such as CINAHL, Web of Science, Google Scholar. So I'll send that in the chat. Oh, Kayla already got it. Great. I hope that answers your questions. Does anyone else have questions? Those are great. Again, you can unmute yourself or you can put it in the chat. Like I said earlier, if you don't have any questions, you're free to go. I just wanted to drop this research workshop, the rest of our workshop series in the chat for you in case you want to register for any of those. And then we do also have an evaluation form for today's workshop. So I'm going to drop that in the chat as well. And you are going to be getting a recording of this workshop in a few days. And then again, if there's any questions that you have, feel free to reach out to the library for assistance. We'd be happy to help you. Thank you all so much for attending.